And Barak Yahweh Brakatha, Yahusha, Barak Yahweh Brakatha, Yahusha, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, salutations to you, sincere brothers, teaching in truth and in sincerity. Lesson will be entitled Rich and Poor. Lord will you are edified. My source, Newsbreak, Fortune, and the name of this article is entitled, The American Middle Class is Bracing for Its Next Financial Blow, published on yesterday, which was 1/13/2023. Unlike the kids, the middle class is not all right. It seems as if every other day economists are predicting varying shades of a recession, and it's worrying middle class households. All right, so question, is this biblical prophecy? Of course it is. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 3. In the day when the keepers of the house, referring to your economists, shall tremble, shall be afraid. Why? Because of the state of the economy. And the strong men, meaning rich men, shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because there are few, no employment. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. And we can apply the middle class looking out of the window and being depressed and anxious because of inflation. Okay? Let's continue. A whopping 81% of households in the income bracket are bracing for a recession this year, finds financial services company Primerica in its annual fourth quarter survey of 1,263 adults with incomes between $30,000 and $100,000. More than half, 63%, say they are already preparing or planning to prepare for one. Many of these middle class households are already feeling financially strapped by the economy. Now remember, the middle class is the lifeline of the economy. Okay, it's the blood of the economy. Okay, nearly 3/4 believe that their income isn't keeping up with the cost of living Primerica finds, and 3/4 say they haven't been able to save for the future, up from 66% a year ago. Inflation over the past year, especially in non-discretionary items like food and gasoline, has hurt the financial security of families, as it was impossible to avoid. Amy Cutts, an economic consultant to Primerica, says in a press release around 3/4 of households reported curbing non-essential purchases due to the cost of living, and just over half had to dip into their emergency funds to cover expenses. The soaring cost of living partly explains why the middle class has fallen from their fill-in-the-blank wealth boom. During March of last year, wealth for middle-class families reached a record high of $393,300, according to data produced by the University of California, Berkeley, and published by Bloomberg. But the golden age of the middle class faded as inflation skyrocketed and the government rolled back relief efforts. From March to mid-October, the average wealth of the middle class, 40%, dropped by 7%. It's the biggest drop since the Great Recession. It doesn't help that the workplace seems to be hanging on by a thread for middle class workers, while wages have increased for upper class individuals. To match inflation, the same wage increases weren't always found for the middle class. And experts predict that many of the jobs that help pave the way to the middle class American dream, higher salaried management roles, could be the first to go in the event of a recession, which typically hits blue collar workers the hardest. Look no further than all the layoffs in tech, from Amazon to Salesforce, and corporate retail such as Walmart and Gap. It's not great news for the already shrinking income bracket. 61% of U.S. adults were considered middle class in 1971, dropping to just 50% in 2021. According to an analysis from Pew Research Center, it's shifted the metric for what's considered the middle class between 30,003 and 90 and 90,010 for a single person household, and 51,962 to 155,902 for a three-person household per Pew. No wonder fewer Americans consider themselves to be middle class than they did before the Great Recession. Okay? So the inflation is basically wiping out the middle class, because ultimately Esau wants two classifications, right? Based on people's income or wealth status. Revelation Revelation 13 and 16. And he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor. As you can see, no middle. Small and great, no middle. Free and bond, to receive a charagma in their right hand or in their foreheads. Job 5 and 12. He disappoint, referring to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, the devices of the crafty. Okay, because at the end of the day, the elite bankers are using the tactic of inflation to wipe out the middle class, so that their hands, meaning might or control, cannot perform, meaning attain, their enterprise, referring to their success, referring to the NWO. Lord will, you are edified. Shalom.